former President Bill Clinton is turning the tables on Donald Trump with regards to the release of the Epstein Files. While Donald Trump and MAGA are trying to make this all about former President Bill Clinton has officially demanded full transparency from the Trump DOJ on the Epstein Files. Clinton's spokesperson says that the Department of Justice's selective release suggests that someone is being protected. Quote, "We need no such protection," he writes. He calls on Donald Trump to direct Attorney General Pam Bondi to immediately release all of the remaining materials referencing Clinton, including grand jury records and photos. Now, you will also recall that in the Epstein emails that were released by the House Oversight Committee, the Democrats were able to get their hands on 18,000 plus emails from the Epstein estate, which the Trump regime was covering up. If you go back to an email from March 6th, 2011, this was from Jeffrey Epstein to another email address. It says, "You okay? The stories are complete and utter fantasy. I don't know and have never met Al Gore. Clinton was never on the island. The telephone book is not mine. It was stolen by my houseman that is currently in prison for doing so." Also,
hey man, I don't know what he's about to say after this, but I mean the proof is right there. I don't know, man. Oh, you gotta have his emails and text messages and phone calls for your little proof. If Epstein said he wasn't there, his houseman is in prison for even stealing the shit, I don't know. It's true then, unless you go find some other shit that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Crazy.
in the recent interview or interviews that Susie Wiles gave to Vanity Fair. Here's what it says. But neither apparently is Mr. Clinton. Asked about Mr. Trump's claim going back years that Bill Clinton had visited the Epstein Island, Ms. Wiles said, quote, "There is no evidence." Asked if there was anything incriminating about Mr. Clinton in the files, as Mr. Trump has suggested, she said the president was wrong about that. Wrong about that? You mean defamatory about that? Goes on to say that it was Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's idea to go and interview Mr. Epstein's convicted child sex trafficking associate Ghislaine Maxwell in prison, and that the president did not know that she would be transferred to a minimum security prison camp. The president was ticked, she said. The president was mighty unhappy. I don't know why they moved her. Neither does the president. Sure, Susie Wiles, sure. Let's just take a look at the official statement from former President Bill Clinton through a spokesperson. Here's what it says. The Epstein Files Transparency Act imposes a clear legal duty on the U.S. Department of Justice to produce the full and complete record the public demands and deserves. However, what the Department of Justice has released so far and the manner in which it did so makes one thing clear. Someone or something is being protected. We do not know whom, what, or why, but we do know this. We need no such protection. In other words, Clinton saying Clinton does not need such protection. And just pause here for a second. As we've said on the Midas Touch Network, we're not out here defending former President Bill Clinton. If he's on the list or if he's in the files, they should all be released, period, full stop. And it's good to hear that former President Bill Clinton is saying so himself. Accordingly, Clinton goes on to say, we call on Trump to direct Attorney General Bondi to immediately release any remaining materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of Bill Clinton. This includes without limitation any records that may exist and are subject to disclosure under the Act. And it goes on to talk about the Epstein Transparency Act, including grand jury transcripts, interview notes, photographs, and findings by the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, as referenced under oath to Congress by President Trump's first-term Attorney General. Refusal to do so will confirm the widespread suspicion that the Department of Justice's action to date are not about transparency, but about insinuation. using selective releases to imply wrongdoing about individuals who have already been repeatedly cleared by the very same Department of Justice over many years under presidents and attorney generals of both parties. Now, you will recall that the Trump regime, in their document production from Friday, where they violated the Epstein transparency law and produced like only 2 to 5% of the files that the DOJ has relating to Epstein. Mostly all of it was redacted. You know that by now. They basically produced redacted documents, except when it came to former President Clinton, where out of context, they showed photos without explaining what it is. Like there was a photo of former President Clinton in a pool. It appears to be Ghislaine in the pool and someone else's face is redacted. So the Trump regime was trying to insinuate, oh, Clinton must be with a victim here. But this...
I don't get about this, right? Just because it's Epstein Island and you see pictures, just automatically a victim in the picture. I don't get what's going on. Like, why are we blocking out people's faces? Like, I'm not defending nobody, but y'all understand what I'm trying to say. It's pictures with Epstein and little children, and it's automatically like they're a victim. How do you know this? We need proof. Like, we need proof of all this. You can't just go by that just because we heard of the island. We know, like, we knew what was going on the island. We need proof of everything. I'm confused. Y'all can argue me down in the comment section, but like, why are you blocking out people's picture? Like, just because somebody was on the island don't mean it was a part of anything. Like, you need hard evidence and stuff like that. Pictures like this don't do no justice. I'm just saying, y'all.
Pool pic was not at Epstein Island. It's at the Empire Hotel pool in Brunei. The redacted face there is likely Sarah Kellen, this one account says, one of Epstein's top lieutenants who received immunity in the deal that Alex Acosta brokered. And Alex Acosta went on to become Donald Trump's labor secretary during his first term, where everyone went free and avoided prosecution right before Trump gave Acosta a cabinet position. Now, in addition, the Trump regime DOJ released photos of Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and children, and they were Diana Ross's children. And the redacted faces insinuated that somehow Clinton and Jackson and Diana Ross must have been involved with these children. And then the children said, "This is us." And these were public photos from like 1993. Don't you dare insinuate that these children were the children crazy, involved in Epstein's sex trafficking ring. So this is what the Trump regime was trying to do here. By the way, the Trump regime also insinuated that Reid Hoffman, entrepreneur, billionaire, was somehow in Epstein Island or something like that. Reid Hoffman previously wrote on November 14, 2025, Trump should release all of the Epstein files, every person and every document in the files. I want this complete release because it will bring justice for the victims. I want this complete release because it will show that the calls for baseless investigations of me are nothing more than a political persecution and slander. I was never a client of Epstein's and never had any engagement with him other than fundraising for MIT. The call for an investigation is an obvious ploy to avoid releasing the files. Simply release all the files and expose the people who had both deep and ongoing relationships with Epstein. I'll do everything in my power going forward to advocate for the release of the files, to get justice for Epstein's victims, and to promote the values of truth our great country was founded on. I refuse to bend the knee to Donald Trump and his slanderous lies. Now, you'll recall the post that Donald Trump had been making. He goes, now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try to deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all of their other failures, I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan, Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam, he goes on to say. And then that's when Attorney General Pam Bondi responded to the social media post like it was an order and said, "Thank you, Mr. President. SDNY, United States Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I've asked him to take the lead. As with all matters, the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity." Well, it's already not with integrity when you're taking orders via social media posts when the DOJ is supposed to be independent, and now you're using the pretext of a criminal investigation into Trump's political enemies as a way not to produce the records that, by the way, Clinton and Reid Hoffman are saying you should be producing. And this is their whole scheme. It's pretty obvious, right? I mean, you had James Comer earlier in the day saying that, actually the person, this was actually a little bit ago, and I'll show you the one he did today. First, I'll show you this one where he goes, "The evidence we've gathered doesn't implicate Trump. It implicates Clinton." You see what they do here? This is Russia, Soviet style propaganda tactics. Here, play this clip.
EVE Online is.
Let's be clear. Democrats don't care about transparency or accountability in this matter. The evidence we've gathered does not implicate President Trump in any way. Public reporting, survivor testimony, and official documents show that Bill Clinton had far closer ties to Epstein. We're working to bring former President Clinton in for a deposition, but the Democrats aren't helping one bit. You would think, since we've already brought two former Trump cabinet secretaries in, they would be willing to bring in a Democrat who's had publicly a far closer relationship with especially Maxwell and Epstein. So why is that? That's a question every reporter should be asking Ranking Member Garcia and every Democrat on the committee. Why aren't you helping to bring Bill Clinton in for an interview and deposition just like we brought in Barr and Acosta?
And here's what Donald Trump said when he was asked in late November, "Do you want to see the Epstein bill pass?" And he goes, "We have nothing to do with Epstein. It's Clinton that does." Here, play this clip.
You posted on Truth Social last night. You urged House Republicans to vote in favor of this Epstein release bill they're going to vote on tomorrow. I just want to be super clear on your position. Do you want to see that pass the Senate? Would you sign that bill if it gets to your desk?
I do want to say, here's what I want. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats. You look at this Reid Hoffman, you look at Larry Summers, Bill Clinton, they went to his island all the time, and many others, all Democrats. All I want for people to recognize the great job that I've done on pricing, on affordability, because we brought prices way down, but they're going way lower.
And then here you have James Comer from earlier in the day now. He makes this post himself, by the way. He's like, "There's no liability of Trump here, really, because he sure seems to be the one covering it up. And the American people know what's up." Play this clip.
From what I've seen thus far, the narrative that they've tried to put out to the public, along with the liberal media, that Donald Trump has a huge amount of liability in this, I just don't think that's there. So the Democrats are going to be outraged. They're going to try to make people not believe what they see with their own eyes.
Here's what Comer then says about Clinton. Play this clip.
At the end of the day, Donald Trump has answered thousands, maybe tens of thousands of questions about Epstein. I don't know anywhere Bill Clinton has ever answered a question. So we're not trying to come in, bring the former president in and embarrass him. This is a substantive investigation. No one's accusing him of wrongdoing, but he needs to answer questions because Jeffrey Epstein spent a lot of time with Bill Clinton, more time with Bill Clinton than any of the prominent names that we've seen thus far. And yet Bill Clinton hasn't, to this date, answered any questions.
And by the way, just a reminder over here, this is when former President Clinton was giving the speech where he talked about how even he doesn't understand Trump's fascination with Hannibal Lecter. Here, play this clip right here.
One of the things is when you send a signal to the other countries, you want them to know whether they agree with you or not, at least that you're on the level. Here's where you are and what you believe. What are they supposed to make to these endless tributes to the late, great Hannibal Lecter? I mean, President Obama once gave me the great honor of saying I was the explainer in chief. Folks, I thought about it, and I don't know what to say.
Then you had former President Clinton saying, I'm only 2 months younger than Donald Trump, but I'm not spending 30 minutes swaying back and forth listening to music. Here, play this clip.
I don't know how many more elections I'll be involved with, and I'm too old to gild the lily. Heck, I'm only 2 months younger than Donald Trump. But good news for you is I will not spend 30 minutes swaying back and forth to you. I played enough music. I will not clap off beat. Nor will I pretend to be a conductor. Because we got a race to win. And we have to win it. I've been doing this a long, long time, and I can honestly say that this time I am not here running for anything anymore except for my grandchildren's future.
I always want to show you this as well because Hillary Clinton had it spot on when she said the following about Donald Trump. Play this clip.
You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. The FBI conducted a year-long investigation into my emails. They concluded there was no case. He said the FBI was rigged. He lost the Iowa caucus. He lost the Wisconsin primary. He said the Republican primary was rigged against him. Then Trump University gets sued for fraud and racketeering. He claims the court system and the federal judge is rigged against him. There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged against him.
Should have gotten it.
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks.
I'm not gonna lie. Donald Trump is hilarious without being hilarious, yo. Even if you hate the guy, he is hilarious, bro. He's so random. Like, why'd you say that?
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks. And it's funny, but it's also really troubling.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe.
Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. Make sure y'all subscribe to Midas Touch. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel also. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified when I upload, y'all. There's a lot going on with these Epstein files. We shall find out what's happening, what these photos mean, what Donald Trump has to do with any of this, what anybody has to do with any of this. So yeah, let me know what y'all think down in the comment section, y'all. I love y'all. Peace and love, baby. We out.